Welcome to Developer Server's YouTube channel. On this episode, we're going to be building a blog post generated with MistralAI and Streamlit. As usual, this is based on the blog post from the Developer Server's website. And we'll be building a simple blog post generator that receives a category and a subject, generates an outline, and then generates the complete blog post, all powered by MistralAI and using Streamlit as the user interface. So let's see how we can build that application. Before I begin, since we'll be using MistralAI, we need to make sure that we have access to an API key. So you need to go to MistralAI and sign up if you are not signed up yet. After you sign up, you can go to API keys and you can create a new API key, which we are going to be doing now. Blog post generator. And you can create the key, you can give it a name, it is optional, and an expiration date, and you create the key. And make sure to copy the key because it's only going to be displayed once. And after that, now we're ready to implement our application. So we'll be using PyCharm to build our project. We already have the files in place. We have the .temp file where we will be putting our API key, and we're also defining our Mistral model that we're going to use. The requirements file where we'll have our requirements. The blog generator, which will be the code that we're going to be used to call MistralAI to structure our blog, and of course the main.py, which will be the Streamlit application, which is going to be calling the blog generator to be able to generate the blog. So let's first start by copying our API key that we just created before into our environmental variables file. Like I mentioned, in terms of requirements, of course we have Streamlit, because we'll be using Streamlit, Python decouple, so we use the environmental variables, and MistralAI, because we're accessing the hosted MistralAI. So our blog generator.py contains the main logic to interact with MistralAI, and also how to structure the MistralAI responses in terms of prompting. We start by doing the necessary imports. We're importing the JSON, we're importing the config from decouple to be using the environmental variables, and of course Mistral, the client, and also chat message, so that we can structure the system prompt and also the user prompt. We are loading up the API keys from the environmental variables, and then we have our write section function, and we have our generate outline function. Let's start with our generate outline, because it's the one that is called first. So it receives the topic and the subject. So the topic can be, for instance, travel, and the subject can be, for instance, Lisbon. So we are defining initially a system message. We're structuring the AI in terms of what it is. In case we are saying it's a well-trained ghostwriter for writing articles about the specific topics, that are informative, detailed, and well-organized, and written in a way that's understandable by all ages. Then we're preparing the user prompt, which is to write the article outline for the article about that subject. We're instantiating our Mistral client with the API key that we have loaded from the environmental variables. We're structuring our messages. First we start with our chat message with the role system, which we're going to be passing our system message, and then our set message with the role user that we're going to be passing our prompt, which is write the article outline. Besides that, we're going to be instructing the AI to return a JSON object in a particular format. This is going to be the format of our outline. We're going to be loading up the chat. We're passing the Mistral model that we have loaded before. We're passing the system message and the user message here. And we'll get the JSON out of that. And we're loading the JSON from the chat response, which is, we have defined here the format of the JSON. And so we're doing the JSON loads of the reply of the AI, which will be a JSON, and we're returning that JSON, which we'll be using later on in the Streamlit application to process and to generate the article. So the write section function is the one that's going to be used to write the contents of the article. So it will receive still the topic. It will receive also a header of that particular section, the subsections that section might have, and the previous already generated text. So we're also defining a system message, similar to the one that we defined before. We're iterating to all our subsections, which might be lists, so you're just aggregating that into a single text. Again, we're instantiating our Mistral client with the API key, and then we're defining a couple of new chat messages. In this case, we're again starting with the system message. But in this case, we're also passing another system message, which is the content of the previous sections. So the text that has already been generated, suppose we are generating already section 2, and we already have a previous section that was generated. So we're passing the text of everything that has been generated so far. Then we're passing our user, which is our user prompt. So we're going to be instructing to write that particular section, which is on that header, and with the particular subsections, which is the aggregated text, and to make sure that to use the proper markdown formatting when writing the sections. Again, our chat response is going to be the execution of the chat with the model and the messages that we defined before. In this case, we're just loading up our content. Since we have instructed to be markdown formatting, it's going to be markdown content, and we're returning that to be used for the Streamlit application. So our main.py file contains our Streamlit application, which is the user interface, but it also has some of the logic necessary to be able to use the block generator methods that we have seen before. So we're importing UID, this is to generate random text for downloading the file later on. We're importing Streamlit, of course, and we're also importing the generate outline and write section methods from the block generator that we'll be using to be generating the blog post. We are defining a helper function here, a create blog post that receives the topic and the blog subject. We start by generating first the outline. We are going to do a little spinner to show that it's loading, and we are going to be retrieving the JSON that corresponds to the outline from the generate outline execution. We're going to be storing the blog title and showing that also as in the UI. Then we're going to be writing the sections. So from the outline, we're getting all the sections, which might be list. We're preparing our history text, which is the accumulation of everything that has been written there. And so for each of the sections, we're setting up a UI divider in the Streamlit UI. We're putting in a spinner saying that section is being written with a particular header. Then we're calling our write section with the topic, with the section header, also the subsections, and we're passing all the history text that has been generated so far. This will return the content, which will be the content generated for this section. So we are adding that to the history text so that we can pass it later on for the next session, and we're going to be showing that section content generated as a markdown in the Streamlit UI. And we'll be returning the history text because this is going to be called later on from the main Streamlit execution. In terms of our Streamlit application configuration, we first start by setting the page configuration. We're defining our page title, our page icon, and also our layout, that we in this case we'll be doing centered. Then we're adding the title inside the web page itself, which is going to be blog post generator when do not want to show an anchor. We're writing the page description, which is also as markdown, which will be showing up as a small description of what this website does. Then we're setting up the UI to have the inputs for the category or the subject. So we're putting a divider in the UI, and we're putting a subheader, and then we're using Streamlit a select box, which creates a combo box to select a particular category, and we have predefined categories like travel, technology, business, and so forth. And then we are creating a text input for the subject, and the subject can be related, or it will be related, of course, to the category that we have been selected. And we're creating a button that the user will click to generate the blog post. And so when the user clicks the button, and this means that if generated will be true. So when the user clicks the button, we're validating the inputs. We're setting up our error message, or preparing a possible error message. We're checking if the category has been filled in. We're checking if the subject has been filled in. In case there is any error, then we're going to show that error in the Streamlit UI as an error, and we're going to be stopping the execution there. If not, if everything is okay and we have a category and the subject filled in, then we're again putting another divider in the UI just to separate the content. And we're calling the helper function that we defined above, the create blog post. We pass the category and the subject. And of course, we're retrieving the history, which is the text that has been generated so far. Then we're again putting a new divider. And keep in mind that this create blog post is going to be iterating through all the sections. for each of the sections. So this this function itself is going to go through all the sections and generate all the blog post content. So here we just retrieved the final generated text. We're again putting through a divider. We're saying that the blog post has been generated, and we are creating a random string, and we're preparing the download button, which it will download the full generated text. It will also create a file name with the category and the subject and that random text. It will be of type text markdown, and there's a small note due to the way that Streamlit works is when you press the download button, the content of the page disappears, and we'll see later on when we are executing. If the user presses the download button, we are saving that file, and that allows the user then to download the contents of that file. So now let's see our application in action. We run it by Streamlit run and main.py. If I spell it correctly, Streamlit run main.py. This will automatically open the browser window. Here we see the title that we generated, the description, and the select box, and the input for the subject. So let's say that I choose as category travel, and as subject I type Lisbon, Portuguese capital, and I click the generate blog post. And as you see, it is generating the outline, shown the spinner. It is shows the title. Now it's iterating through each of the sections and generating the content of each section. First it generated the introduction, and now it's continuing writing the next sections, top attractions, and so forth. And as you can see, very detailed blog post with just a couple of lines in terms of calling MistralAI and a couple of lines for the Streamlit UI, and you have a full functional blog post generator application. So the script has finished executing. Let's just take a look at the blog post generating. So you'll see we have the title, we have the section of introduction with its details, we have top attractions, that's the next session, with the subsections, Berlin Tower for instance. We have the food and drink in Lisbon as another section with containing subsections. Another one, day trips from Lisbon. Another practical information for visiting Lisbon, another section. And as you can see at the end, the blog post has been generated successful, and I can press the download blog post, and this will, unfortunately, due to Streamlit works, clear the script. And that is it. That is all that you need to do to have a full functional blog generator. I will leave a link in the description also, because I have created a hosted version of this, which you can use as the free version, or you can do a premium version, which has a more powerful AI, so it can also generate more complete blog posts. So feel free to take a look and try to generate some blog posts, either in the free version, or if you so choose to try out the premium version. But again, all the code that is used in the free version here, it's all the code that we have seen in action here, with the code that we have built and with the blog post generator and the example application. So thank you for watching. Do like this video if you like this content. Subscribe to get more content from Python, Django, and AI. And until next time, happy coding.